support. I'd say that's a pretty big hit, especially as I believe besides Civil, that was the other player that they got back in free agency or they picked up in free agency. So that was a big move for them that now they've kind of had to make a last minute pivot in the middle of the split. So it's going to be very interesting how they perform, especially going against Flannel, who is currently one of the 2-3-0 teams in the split right now.
Yes. Remind me again who the other 3-0 team is. That is the
Uh,
team that we watched
Ember, the
last week.
team that,
Ember. Ember.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. They look pretty good. They look pretty good. It was messy, but they were good. So I have heard some rumors that our guys on XSV have been practicing this week. Something we never see in draft leagues. So I'm actually expecting a lot from them tonight. They get the practice buff, the new org buff. I don't know anything about XSV. I believe I recall seeing that Volter owns it. He's been a long time draft player, so he knows how things go and he knows how things work. So I expect that he'll be able to help them to the extent that a manager can.
yeah, absolutely. This is, I do feel like a bit of a moment where they need to have a pretty solidified game as well, because obviously last week, like you said, they lost to Ember, which is one of the 2-3-0 teams, and X of V have looked very good. But they will be pretty much stamped at third or below if they go through the split and they can't beat either of the top two teams that are currently undefeated. So you definitely would expect XSV, which if that is true and they are practicing, that's very good news for them. I'm hoping to see a much cleaner game from them because a win here would be massive both for the morale and also just help steady the ship a little bit and maybe solidify their place at the top half of the pack.
Yeah, and we're obviously excited to talk about XSV because they have the new org and the new players and stuff. But Flannel is a team that has really turned it around in the Legend scene. First split, they're not really looking to win. They're playing the long con. Second split, they have a really nice run. I think they got what, third or fourth. They had Angrotus,
Yeah, I think it tied 34.
yeah, can of 10. Yeah, so they were pretty solid last split, and this split they're starting out 3-0. So say what you will about the plan. Quintic seems to know what he's talking about because it's going pretty well so far. I'm looking at their squad too. Murcielago is oh, what's his name? Longtime player, been around for forever. Espana. And Grotus obviously had a good split last split, and Sunset Diner, one of those supports that seemed to do pretty well last split. But we are into draft finally, a little bit late getting off, but we're going to start with the Zyraban, and that is a target at Angrotus. Played that champ a lot last split and looked really good every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Still very much in the meta as well, I believe. So a bit of target might be an indicator for what XSV want to do. Maybe keep Angrotus on their toes. It is going to be matched by the Udyr, which is a little bit more of a flex. That Gwen ban as well. Gwen is still, I think, one of the best like top jungle, uh, you know, legends in the entire game. So that might not even be a more targeted ban. That is just one of the bans that we've been seeing a lot more frequently as this kind of splits meta has been rounding out.
Yeah, Gwen has been nerfed a fair bit, but she's one of those champs that's number one, a flex, and number two, a specialty of Angrotus. I know when I was playing against him last split, I was like, please just ban Gwen and Lilia, please. Like, don't make me farm against that. It's tough. So, just one of those champs that if the person can play it, you should probably just get rid of it. Meanwhile, on the other side, they were seeing equal target bans for Sinestro in the jungle, Volibear and Udyr, two classic Sinestro picks. Both these junglers pretty known
Yeah.
quantities. Yeah, they've been around a while, so both teams have a pretty good idea of what they're going for. The Ziggs ban as well, obviously just a good early flex. So so far, I like all these bans from both teams. As far as blue side B1, do we see the classic Jinx? We'll
Very
find out.
likely.
I don't believe
You'd
they
imagine it's
prioritized it last
probably an
week.
ADC. Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
imagine it is going to be an ADC. It's kind of been the go-to. It's usually either the ADC or the jungle. I would not be surprised. Okay, it looks like ADC. Oh, how crazy! B1 Jinx, everybody. Um,
B1 Jinx.
I wouldn't be surprised if both teams do pick up the jungler here in the first wave. That's not just like very normal to do so, but with how both teams are pretty heavily targeting each other in the jungles, in the ban phase, I would not be surprised if they just try to
It's
pick their respective jungle options first. Actually,
it's gonna be
Hwei,
Jarvan. It's gonna
I
be
mean, yeah,
Jarvan.
it's gonna definitely be
I
Jarvan.
Jarvan
Jarvan or
is always the pick of the
Zinzao.
Jinx.
Yeah,
He's a good
yeah.
blind. Both these players play it. With all the junglers taken out too, he's like the only kind of like standard like ganking left. Xin Zhao is still good, a little less popular in our level of play, but still a really solid pick. So that would definitely be fine too. I just think Jarvan with the weight and into the Jinx is really good. But Trundle,
Okay.
okay, I like Trundle.
Yeah.
Pillar's good against champs like Jinx.
Yeah, and I also do think paired pretty well with Hwei as well. Just a really having a really good CC tool that stops positioning while also having an artillery mage on your team. I feel like it's just always a very nice thing to have. It just means you can, even if it's very small or short amount of time, it does guarantee a little bit more damage onto whoever you're targeting, which can be absolutely critical in team fights. Wukong. I think that's also just a very normal standard pickup. Technically, I believe that could be flex to mid, but I would not be surprised if that ends up just going jungle. A very good option to not just shred front line, but also a means to get to that back line, which you're going to want when you have Hwei. The rest is going to be paired with the Jinx. Tank engage legend. I feel like that's absolutely. I wouldn't say it's like the go-to with Jinx, but I don't think that's a bad pickup at all. I think that's pretty standard.
Yeah, it's definitely fine. It kind of dissuades some of the kind of harder engage picks. Like maybe you're thinking about picking the Nautilus or Leona, but the Thresh kind of maybe deters that a little bit. But it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. They're still going to go for it, which is fine. If you play support, you've played this matchup 100 times from both ends, most likely. So I'm not too worried about either of these guys. I think they're both going to be happy. Same with the jungle. To be honest, these guys have both played this matchup 100 times by this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Notably, Flannel still no ADC pick, so that is still on the board. You'd imagine that it's still going to be last pick topside to kind of help out the top laner a little bit. Especially as I don't know. Okay, they are going to ban away an ADC option with that Corki. Is a very good pairing with the Nautilus, so not too surprising. But in the current meta, Nautilus feels very. I know we talked about it last split a lot, especially with Becky, but Nautilus feels very just good in general. It doesn't. It's not a very big limiter on which ADCs could be run with Nautilus. So I feel like it's a little bit of a crapshoot and just trying to take some of the best options off the board. So that Corki, I think, is good. The Ari, the Syndra, obviously XSV not having a mid laner yet. Those are two of the most valuable picks in the current meta. So to get them out of the board, they are going to be met with a Talia as well. I guess worried about an APC, I'm assuming, because Hwei, I think, is pretty locked into that mid role.
There's a chance it could be Hwei ADC. We've seen that a little bit. But I don't think so. I think it's just a panic ban. Corki is traditionally one of the champions that does pretty well into Jinx, so that one's pretty obvious. But we'll likely see ADC Jace. Okay, I think
Oh,
the Jace almost kind of makes me think that maybe that is a Hwei ADC. Um, Not wanting to show
okay.
that yet. Vex.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not really the biggest fan of Vex. We don't really see this champ too much, although we did see it in Game 5 of the LCK, so it's definitely a champ that is viable.
Oh, yeah.
But don't see it too much. I think when I saw it, it was paired with a Nocturne to get the reset, which Wukong can kind of do something similar, and I think the Renekton setup is pretty good for easy Vex engages. So all in all, I think XSV has put together like a pretty standard Jinx comp that I think looks pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. They are hovering the croc right now, which I think is a fine pickup, especially because that Jace is. I mean, that Jace is obviously going to go top side. Okay, never mind. It's going to be the set a little bit more brawly. Is that
Yeah. Wow.
Jace
Okay.
midway ADC Fiora top?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you, I will say, if you're gonna play the Hwei ADC, this is the kind of comp that you draft around it. One thing that you kind of alluded to a little bit earlier is that Trundle does kind of enable these kind of siege 4-1 comps because pillar is really hard to get around. It can kind of like stuff a whole team's engage. So if they're looking to play like the 4-man with the Fiora splitting, I think this actually is pretty good. They have decent poke with the Jace and the Hui. They can kind of disengage with the Nautilus Trundle. I think they have a pretty interesting comp. It definitely looks a little wacky, but I think I approve if they can actually execute this.
Yeah, I am also interested in that top lane matchup. Obviously, the last minute changeover to the set with the Fior kind of coming out of left field. Um, they had that counter pick, and at least statistically, obviously, statistics are statistics. We'll see what happens when they actually get into the game. But set does have a slight advantage in lane over Fior statistically. Set actually wins most of the metrics game to game, so. That is going to be interesting, counter pick and kind of not going for the clear counter. I do still think top side is going to be the weak side here. I think, especially with the Jinx and the Hui, it is going to be a farming fest down on that bot side, and the junglers are going to be doing whatever and everything physically possible to try to get those two ahead. Hui is, I think, a pretty good option to keep the Jinx down. That artillery, that extra bit of range, might really help out in the fight. But man, if either of those two really get ahead, this could be a very scary matchup for either of these teams. It's really just a race to see who can outfeed the Hui or Jinx.
Yeah, for those of you familiar with old school melee memes, you can keep your statistics. I prefer the magic. I think
Yeah,
that if you're confident enough to lock in this Fiora almost instantaneously as soon as you see the set, I'm thinking that he knows something that
yeah,
we don't. I haven't seen a lot of Fiora. She's
he's
one of those
got the
champions that's
tech.
been out of the meta for a while. She's received
Yeah,
kind of quiet buffs over time. Like over the last year, I feel like she's gotten like 3 like really like love tap minor buffs. I think the most recent one was some kind of like mana buff for lane, so she can spam the Q a little more. So uh, I am expecting this to be surprising. I think that this Fiora is going to make this look pretty good. Obviously, I don't know this matchup. I doubt this other top laner even knows the matchup, which is all the more reason why I'm expecting it to be a fun one.
yeah. I also am interested in the Vex. Like you said, Vex is not a very standard pick, but we have seen it get used in top play. I know the last time we saw it in Legends, it was not very good. I can't remember
Yeah.
what game exactly it was, but I remember it wasn't a Metro game. It was one of the best mids that we have, and we were like, I don't think Vex is in their Legend pool, and they were not. It was a rough game, but I do kind of also struggle to see what the Vex is going to bring. If you don't land on the way here, I really struggle to see who you're going to be executing. I guess Jace, but Jace also isn't particularly a very squishy target. I mean, not an outright tank, but I do really fear for this Vex. If as someone who also has played mid, if I'm running into this composition, I am going it almost feels like if you pop your ult and you don't hit the way, you just don't go in unless you have ungodly good follow through from the rest of your teammates. Which, I mean, with a Wukong pairing and a set, there is some go in potential. But man, it's gonna have to rely on some very good team play. But then again, word on the street is that they've been practicing, so maybe they've unlocked that this time around. So I'm excited. I like you said, the top side I think is going to be an interesting matchup. I think Vex is going to be the next interesting character to keep an eye on to see how they go and how they perform through the whole series or this whole game.
Yeah, like I said, I think Flannel is going to look to play one of these 4-1 comps, and something that I do think that Vex provides is she does provide a go button. If they're kind of
Yeah,
holed up in the 4-man trying to disengage, you can always have the Vex just kind of send it with the Wukong and force something. It's pretty hard to disengage with that, even with the Trundle Nautilus. So
yeah.
I think that's what we're going to be
Oh,
seeing, hopefully.
yeah, and actually, not a. I don't know why when I mentioned the Wukong going in, it didn't even occur to me. But there is also kind of that combo of the Wukong going in with the clone and the spiral, paired up with the fact that that mass DC of the fear from the Vex. So if paired well, I could actually see that just absolutely shredding a lot, including that front line. Um, so actually, I do think that might actually be a big maneuver for them. It feels like a pretty good combination that they could get a lot of value of. We do see the picks getting locked in here, and it does look like that's exactly what we are going to get. It's going to be that Hui bot lane with the Jason mid and the fewer top side. Yeah, I definitely think this is interesting. Not a lot of go-to picks across the board. I think actually right now, I don't think there's Hui and Jinx are 9 and 10 on the highest presence champion. Wukong is number 2, and besides that, um, there's only also 2 bans. So this is one of those drafts where very clearly both teams are planning for future games, as a lot of the big name pieces have not been taken. So
Yeah.
going to be very interesting to see how the drafts progress as the series goes on.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one too because I think that Flannel has put together something that is definitely a bit different than what we're used to, but it is something that makes sense to me. We don't see a lot of teams opt for this kind of play style, but Quintic has he's got his spreadsheets. I know for a fact that they've talked about this and they've planned for this, so I'm really excited to see it if it works. It is gonna rely a lot on Mercy Logo getting ahead top, but as we discussed earlier, I think that it's likely that we're going to see that. I'm also hoping that we get a bit of a return to form from Sinestro. He had a bit of a rough week last week, but I'm expecting him to look a little better this week. I do think he was against some strong opponents last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree 100%. The thing is that while this is a very I think different composition for the side of Flannel, I think the biggest thing is that there's still very clear paths to a win. Because very often we see drafts where we're like, "Oh, that could be really really good," and that is true. But it's also one of those things of it requires every single person to do well or very specific scenarios to happen in order for them to get the win. But with this, it feels like it's still very attainable. And if things don't go well, if this Jace doesn't get super far ahead, or if this Fiona doesn't get super far ahead, there's still other mechanisms in the composition that can help either get them back into the game or just win the game outright. And I think that's the biggest. A lot of times, I know me and Sheep call it the Exodia comp, where it's like every piece needs to come together for it to win. But God, if it does, it just beats everyone. This feels like not that. It just seems a lot more reliable, even though it's a very different style of play.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're going to see that pretty soon. Thanks everyone who is chatting. Keep that up. But yeah, we're going to see how these two teams go.
Yep, absolutely. But before we get to that, we are going to have to wait for the spectator delay to do its thing. So don't go anywhere. Game number 1 of the Flannel versus XSV game is going to come at you in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. for this Flannel team, apparently it is their go-to, so they're going to be running their number one option to start us off, and it looks like XSV are actually going to death push here, maybe expecting an invade. I mean, obviously the Nautilus is in play, so that's always the option. But it looks like it's just going to be a 5-point from Flannel. They don't want to, risk losing anything in the possible fight that goes back and forth.
Yeah, I really like this death bush above Raptors because a lot of teams will look to ward the Raptors, particularly in the mid laner. That's a very safe ward for both teams to look for. So they're just going to kind of sit there and wait and see if they fall for that bait. They are not. Flannel is going to play it safe and just 5-point here. So smart start from both teams, I think. Both junglers going to be unnoticed at the beginning of this game. Both looking like they're probably going to prioritize the top side pathing towards bottom, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think if you're the Wukong, you're looking to cover this Jinx. She's probably going to take a bit of a beating early. These ADCs not particularly great against mages. Meanwhile, Trundle is going to be looking for those early plays in the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. In small details, I actually did like the pathing from the side of XSV to get down to that bot side. The amount of times that we have seen, that death bush by chickens, they don't find anything, so they just path down and they go into the tri bush, and then they get spotted out by a pair of a bot laners that are waiting for someone to go through, and they get caught off guard. Happens all the time. So the safe pathing down so you can get to the lane in time, not lose anything in the process. They don't get punished for it at all as well. So it goes pretty much as well as it could have gone for them. But you're absolutely correct. So this lane is going to be a little rough. But that being said, Jinx and the Thresh do hit level 2 first, so they'll have the advantage for the next couple of seconds. Meanwhile, I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of a wet noodle fight. At least it seems like it. And Set took a little bit of extra damage there. Definitely losing the trade.
Yeah, I will say the Trundle did bait me a little bit. He did end up starting his Wolves, and he's playing his bot side pathing up top. I'm not sure what incentivized to do that. Maybe just wants to play for the Fiora win condition, which definitely makes sense. Bot lane looking pretty even. Mid looking pretty even. Top a little bit advantage to Fiora right now, so pretty close game across the board so far. We'll see if they look for a play here with the minion advantage bot. I kind of want to see them go for this. The Thresh Hook is definitely going to miss since the Spectator sent us elsewhere.
Yeah, and it seems like right now, Murcielago is actually doing very well. Obviously, is up in the XP and is keeping Little pushed under the turrets. And I mean, just that pressure and those trades that are just going a little bit more the way of Fiora. If they continue to stack up, that could become a real problem, especially in this early game. But the health regen is coming through, so it's not a crazy lead, but it's definitely something to look out for, especially as they hit again level 4 beforehand. Looks like first clears are going to be wrapping up here in the next couple of seconds as well. So keep an eye. We might see something towards both bot and top side because again they are split. Trundle towards the top and that Wukong towards the bot lane.
I do want to say, I know there's at least one jungle clearing aficionado in the chat. Both of these junglers are finishing their first clear at 350. I don't know why it's so slow. Trundle did take a bit of a kind of scaling path where he prioritized the little against first. So that makes a little sense. I'm not sure why the Wukong is so slow. It's not gonna matter though. I will say in the spot lane we have seen Hui land a couple of these claws onto both of the enemy bot laners, Civil and Cyclic, getting connected with losing a couple of these trades as a result. So definitely some mastery on the way as we see it once again. Gonna have to do a better job of dodging that if you're Flannel, but so far, or if you're XSV, but so far not too much. A little bit of a trade from the Thresh here. I don't think this is gonna amount to anything, but the hook is gonna come through. Thresh is gonna be in a little bit of danger. Meanwhile, on the top lane, the Trundle is hitting the set. He is definitely gonna go down to the passive here from the Fiora. He's kind of playing it really slow, trying to get the execute kill here, and the Fiora is gonna get it. That wave is going to crash too. Set does have the TP, but he's going to lose a fair bit before he's able to get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, in that mid lane, actually, Vex was taking so much damage that they actually had to recall, and they used their teleport already. So Zodiac struggling a little bit in the lane against this Jace, and a little bit of a skirmish now.
Here comes the fight. We'll see if Jinx is able to get out. The exhaust is going to come through. Nautilus is trying to get out here. The Ignite is ticking, but the pots are going to save him for now. We'll see if you're able to get him with the last hit. The Jinx reset comes through. JS Chaotic is going to have to flash away, and that is going to be a big win for the bot lane of Civil and Sideclick. Score is 1-1. We'll see if Civil's able to get out of the back end of this. The claw does connect, but it doesn't quite finish him off. JS Chaotic is going to be able to get this wave into a favorable position, but losing his support, you have to think that this is favorable for XSV.
Yeah, absolutely. But you do still see the threat there from this Hue, just barely not securing the kill on the Civil. Definitely very scary. It would definitely kind of melts into the fact that this Jinx needs to play super carefully, though, because even when you think you're out of range, you're actually not. So definitely think that is very good for XSV and is going to help them out, as they did also lose that first blood on the top side. So Jinx gets a little bit, and the Fiora gets a little bit. I think that does kind of very clearly indicate who the main win conditions are for these teams, at least who they assume it's going to be this early on into the game.
Yeah, so far, some good looks from both teams. We'll see if Trundle's able to connect with the Vex here. The Vex ult is down, and we saw the Jace flash get burned earlier, so that was a nice little move from the Wukong to get that. Looks like Vex is just going to be able to walk away. She's going to see this Trundle in the mid lane on the side view on the mini-map, but so far, things are looking good on the top side. Meanwhile, the Dragon is going to be started here by the likes of XSV. We'll see if they're able to complete this. Nautilus is hovering, but it looks like he's going to give it. That is going to be first drag over to XSV. Meanwhile, the all-in on the top lane. The set is going to look for it, but the Fiora ult is going to dissuade him for now. Murcielago is just going to get hit by the true damage. He's not going to die, but looks like a pretty winning trade for the set for now.
Yeah, and honestly doesn't have the room to really go back in and make a play for it. I thought it was going to be a little bit rough set using that W so early on. It was nowhere near to his full potential, but it does enough to keep this Fiora kind of down. I do believe they pop the healing fruit as well. So yeah, they'll get a little bit of a boost to healing. So for this next fight, they should have a little bit of the advantage. But that first Drake was secured. Mr. Donk, very low, is going to be able to get out of that.
Yeah, I think as long as he backs here, that's fine. He just wants to chunk out the Vex a little bit before he gets back, but it looks like he might stay for a little more, which is pretty funny. I'm wondering if he has some idea where the Wukong is. He does have that pink ward on the top side, so if he covers Star's body, should be safe. Little is going to be looking for the Fiora. Not going to be able to finish him off for now. Fiora is kind of perpetually stuck in this frozen spot at the top lane, which is a little tough, but he's managing to farm pretty well still. Meanwhile, Jace is just going to go down. Murcielago is also going to get caught here. Deathmaster Pones surely has enough here. The ult is going to come through, and that's going to be another kill for the Wukong. Good start for XSV. The practice is paying off.
Yeah, and that's actually massive for them because they've already secured the Drake. Those 2 kills actually secure them the feat of warfare, and just after that kill went their way, Sons of Donna.
This is going to be a dead Nautilus. That was a nice prediction on the hook there from SideClick. Nautilus is going to get caught right in that, and CC chained under the turret was not safe in that position. That was a nice hook.
Yeah, but right after getting those 2 kills earlier, immediately the grub spawn, so that's going to be 3 grubs going their way as well. So there's just one major jungle objective now from picking up all of the feats of warfare, seeing as we're still so early into the game. No one's even really close to securing their first turret yet.
Yeah, so far though, I like how things are looking for XSV. They got themselves a bit of a gold advantage. They've got themselves the first dragon as well as the grubs, so pretty good look for them. I want to see Hue stop these recalls, but looks like he's just going to let them go back and shove this wave in and get a recall in himself. It's a little goofy that the Nautilus is walking bot here when Hue is almost certainly just going to back as soon as he shoves this, so I definitely want to see him walk towards the mid lane, maybe behind this pit here. He's just going to place the ward for no and find this pink in the river.
Yeah, he's going to be spotted, though, in the process, so this Vex is going to be playing a lot safer. Murcielago is going to be fine after a little bit of healing there from the refreshing pot. I imagine it's not a recall. Yeah. Okay. This fight is just going to continue, as we're going to continue to see kind of these wet noodle fights kind of go back and forth for the most of the game, unless Fiora can somehow capitalize and get a little bit of a lead. But I don't imagine the set getting much, especially as has not gotten a lot of TLC from this Wukong, really only getting assisted once.
Yeah, I do want to give Little some credit here. I think they've done a good job of kind of understanding their role in this game. Like, not going to have any prio this game, but has done a pretty good job of holding this wave in a position where he's not really under too much threat from Murcielago. but we are going to see the all-in now. I don't think that this is going to be enough. The flash ult under the turret is going to be a
Oh.
huge play. The set is going to outplay Murcielago. That is a huge one. Just as I'm giving him the praise, it's a reverse caster curse. It's a caster blessing. You're welcome.
Yeah. A massive outplay. Even though the W goes a little bit wide, it does not land. The poor positioning from the Fiora immediately just means that the ultimate, the slam coming out from set, just keeps Fiora in a very awkward position that they can't get out of. Looks like another fight's going to be starting up a 4v3 on bot side.
Yeah, the Wukong ult is going to be burned early here. The way AoE is going to be doing a ton of damage here, though. Deathmaster Pone's almost certainly down. Civil Barrier is going to save him for now, but I think the Trundle's going to be able to clean this up at the back end. The Q is going to miss. The Nautilus ult is, or the Nautilus hook is just going to miss. He's pretty low. I don't think he can chase anymore, but I think one is good. Jace is hovering over the blast plant. It looks like he's going to play it safe and just go back to mid lane.
I was actually wrong there. It was a 3v3, but Flannel, despite being on the back foot and not expecting it, okay, Sons of Diner barely.
That was close.
I don't even think he was trying to dodge it.
Yeah, I think he got lucky.
Yeah. But Mr. Bedagadog was moving down to help out Flannel down to the bot side, comes back in and immediately starts getting bullied by those Vex, who quietly is 1-0. Right now, no massive leads. Only the Jinx has more than 1 kill, which is scary, but I think both sides have been doing a pretty good job at keeping pretty much everyone down. And Drake is going to be up. Zodiac just tanking 2 turret shots. And it looks like the
wanted the
Drake
plate, but he's going to give up the drag. He wanted the plate, but he's going to give up the drag for it. That's funny. I don't think they were going to be able to contest that anyway. So honestly, we're going to call it worth.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. And it is going to be the Cloud Drake, or the Cloud Soul, excuse me, to play for. That is, I still think, the best soul in the game. I think everyone's going to want to play for it. So Drake stacking is going to become very, very important here. The fact that it's split 1-1, I think both teams will be totally fine with that in the end.
And Deathmaster Bones is going to be top here. The settle is going to come through. We'll see if they're able to get this. Surely this is going to be enough onto the Murcielago. I don't think that he has the flash just yet. A good timer on this gank. Fiora has the flash in about 10 seconds. I don't know if that's luck or what, but we're going to call it skill because that was a really nice timed gank and free kill onto Murcielago, who has found their 3rd deaths. Bot lane fight is going to come out too. He's going to step onto the Jinx trap. The Hwei is almost certainly dead here. The Jinx is going to win these extended fight. We see the late TP coming through. The Nautilus is going to die into the back end here. Sideclick just needs to stall while he waits for his TP. Meanwhile, the Jace is coming too. The Vex is following. This is going to be a messy one. Thresh is out for now with the flash, but he's surely going to get cleaned up on the back end by the hook here. That's going to be enough. The set is fighting. The Vex is here too. We got a 2v2 brewing, but the Vex R is going to miss. Jace is going to combo. So far, the set W is going to save it for now. Both health bars super low on the side of Flannel. One of them is going to go down, and Sunset Diner is going to limp away.
Yeah, I think that's possibly, I don't want to say the worst outcome there because everyone could have died, but Sunset Diner being the ones to survive that, I think may be one of the worst situations, especially because the flash was also invested from that Jace. So that was a very, very heavy investment to come through that did not go their way. Flannel do get a couple kills. Hwei ends up with 2 kills at the end of that, or at least 2 kills in total, which does catch them up with the Jinx, but that puts the Vex into a very scary spot with a 2-0-0, 150 gold bounty, and this poor Jace has been struggling for a while. Ooh, Lantern.
The Lantern is gonna come through. They're gonna force the flash, and I think that Sideclick is gonna be happy with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. As XSV are doing very good to keep control of this map. They are slowly gaining momentum, and they're very slowly putting a gap between them and Flannel. It is not like an all-out fight where it's just they get 4 kills off the back without losing a member, and they get like 3k gold off of it that puts them way far ahead. It's been very strategic small moves that have been stacking up over time that are just making it very difficult for Flannel to kind of get themselves a foothold into the game, which is very, very strong. Again, with this Lantern gank, very scary. They have not really connected quite yet, but the moment they do, that could be massive.
Yeah, to your point that you're saying about these incremental advantages, one thing I want to point out is congratulations to both these teams, because last week I felt like when we were watching the games, we're like, oh my god, what is happening? Both of us are just constantly scratching our heads. The game's a complete mess. This week, a very controlled, smart game from both teams, I think. Flannel in a bit of a deficit here, but despite the kill score, they are only down about 1,000 gold. So honestly, pretty well played
Yeah.
from them. I think both teams are playing a pretty solid game this week. Very happy with the play from both of them so far, and I think this one is going to be pretty close. XSV obviously with a bit of an advantage right now with those objectives and with those kills, but I think that Flannel's comp is one that's going to scale as the game goes on. So I do think that XSV are on a bit of a clock. They obviously do have the Jinx to secure their scaling, but most of their strength is going to come from the 5v5, which isn't going to be super relevant if Flannel is going to be able to spread the map like I think they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do agree with that. I think this Hwei as well, this Hwei and this Fiora. Obviously, the Jinx is the hyper carry and can 1v9 in a lot of situations. But this Fiora can become a real menace in the late game if given any room. And then paired with the Hwei, just the ability to just completely burst someone down and then finish them off with Fiora. Very strong. Ooh, fight here.
Yeah, the fight is going to start. The Wukong is going to be able to connect with 2 so far, but he's going to get pounded by this Jace here. We'll see if he's able to get out. And Grotus is walking out, and Deathmaster Pones is forced to flash out as well. So far, no one dead. The Nautilus is going to get him out for now. The Thresh is going to connect, though, and that's surely going to be a Jinx reset. That's 1 down. We'll see if they're able to get the Jace, too, and not quite. A few Watt is going to go through. Meanwhile, Fiora is going to take this tower, but not without taking a little bit of punishment from Little. I don't think he's going to be able to follow this up more, but some nice moves from both teams, actually. Yeah, we got a tower versus a kill. But we're still going here. The double Hwei claw is going to connect again. I think this is surely a dead side click. I think Jinx is going to be next here. The Jace playing this really well. Chaotic going to be able to land all of these abilities, and that is going to be a dead Jinx as well. Oh. Chaotic goes down. The Vex ult isn't going to connect, so no reset, but that is another one secured. A messy skirmish all around, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of Flannel.
Yeah, though I do want to say we were giving maybe a little bit of grief, but also maybe a little bit of praise for the possibility of it. This Vex is actually starting to look very scary. 3-0-0 now. I mean, that combination of CC, not in that, the second half of that fight, but that first initial fight that was happening in mid there, that combination of the Fear, the Thresh, CC, as well as, I believe, was it Set that was there? No. Oh God, I'm blanking. But the chain of CC that just rained down to keep the Trundle in one spot that allowed the Wukong to just sit there and shred them to pieces. Massive play. It's a really good indicator that this team comp is doing exactly what they want. Very scary. Fiora's now taking 2 turrets though.
Yeah, I was
both
gonna say,
top side and bot side tier 1s are gone now for XSV.
Speaking of what teams want, Fiora is just devouring these turrets, and even though this Vex is fed, I'm not sure I like our odds in the 1v1 versus Fiora, but it's not going to be a 1-for-1 for long as the Wukong is going to be here. I don't think his E is going to quite be in range. The Vex might be enough, though. We'll see if he's able to clean this up. The Fiora is just going to miss her last pass to Proc, and the Vex passive auto is going to clean it up. Nice play from the Vex to bait that out. I don't even think... I want to say that the Wukong didn't even hit her once. I think that's a solo kill, right?
I think it probably was. I don't think the Wukong, actually did anything besides the fact they just put pressure. I think it's a very different story.
Flash play is going to connect, but the hook isn't. Meanwhile, the Set is going to flash ult backwards, though. A nice play from the Set. Going to snag that kill into Chaotic for the Jinx, and another nice hook from Cyclic. These abilities are connecting, and it's going to be a nice one. A double kill for the Jinx, and this is going to be a turret, too. This is a huge play from XSV, as this Herald is going to do a lot of damage.
And they're going to get 2 out of it as well. Yeah, they're going drifting. Second time, the second Fast and the Furious movie is better than the first, as it is going to land. It's a lot of damage. That turret's practically gone now.
Uh-oh, Civil. Fiora is going to make the outplay happen onto Civil. The turret is going to go down on the back end, but he's going to be happy to clean up that Jinx. I almost wonder if the Jinx was going to pick up a shutdown, but the timer didn't have time to get it. So, funnily enough, I think that Murcielago maybe missed out on a shutdown there because they killed the Jinx so quickly after she got that huge gold injection. I don't really know how that mechanic works, but I think that might have happened.
Definitely a little rough there. Is Mr. Lego going to take another turret?
It looks like it.
Yeah, it's just
no grubs
one.
needed.
Feed them more. They just want more and more gold. They are 1-4 right now, so not ahead on the kills, but the amount of gold that they're picking up from these turrets must be astronomical. Definitely helping keeping them in this fight. Wow. You are absolutely correct. Even though this looks very, disparate between the kills and, even some of the objectives, it looks like it more goes the way of XSV. It's still so close.
He's gonna run in there, proc the phase rush, and just peace out. I don't know what he was doing in that bush, but he's gonna get out. Otacon is up. Thankfully, he doesn't die, or that might have been catastrophic, but all things considered, is just gonna be a flash.
Oh my. Yeah, next Drake is going to be up in 2 minutes. So that's obviously going to be something to play for. Flannel picked up the last one, so they do have a bit of the advantage. Like I said, this is the Cloud Soul. This is the best one in the game, so everyone is going to want a piece of it, especially XSV, because Jinx with a bit of movement speed buff as well, plus attack speed buff, is kind of crazy. Especially if the Jinx starts going off and starts getting those resets and the speed ups off of their passive, it could be a very, very scary proposition with that Cloud Soul. So both teams, Flannel are gonna at least want to deny it, and XSV are gonna want it.
Uh-oh, and Grotus is in no man's land here. He's just going to die immediately, and Wukong is going to take that as the perfect opportunity to go in and get the kill. Set behind is going to be able to chase them off. Flannel can only run for the hills here, as XSV is certainly going to be able to get this Otacon. I think that Nautilus is going to go down to the Vex here as well, so this is just like a really easy sweep for XSV. This is surely Otacon. Jinx and Set are definitely going to be more than enough. Yora's going to come over here to put a little bit of pressure onto this tower, but ultimately she's not really going to be able to do anything. Nautilus is manually running back to base, by the way. I'm looking at the mini map. Like, oh my god, my man is running. Where are you going?
I guess did they not have info? They saw everyone. They're going nearby. Man, is Forrest Gump running halfway across the country and get to some semblance of safety. Could have just gone down the road, but no, makes it all the way back to the base walls. But yeah, no, that is going to be the Otacon picked up after a really good play. I think that it was just a matter of a little bit more positioning, and Grotus gets caught out, and then right after that, Chaotic is still pushed so far ahead with no backup of the Jace or the Nautilus, who are just a little bit too far behind to have the say in the fight. And with that, those two members going down, Nautilus having to get chased out, it's just practically a free Otacon. And like you said, because no one died, Murcielago tries to go for something on that mid turret, and it just doesn't come up anything. So that's a massive play across the board for XSV. They're also in a very good position to collapse. Oh, Nautilus, not again. Nautilus, no.
My guy is definitely going down. This is going to be a free one for XSV. I am not a coach. Yeah. I am not a coach, Soren, but if I were, one thing that I would tell my teams is if you're going to place vision around an objective, you need to place it in a position that you can actually defend it. So before that Drake comes up, Flannel uses their tempo after that last fight to kind of start setting up vision around Dragon, right? And they do that, but then they just don't defend it. XSV just walks in and kills the Nautilus because everybody else left. But this fight is going to be going on really quickly. Chaotic is going to go down before I can even finish my thought. Civil going to pick that one up. 7 and 3 on the Jinx with 2 items. It is starting to look not close. Even though we do see some strong points of power on Flannel, this is looking tough. We'll see if Murcielago is able to get at least the set here as consolation. He's not able to position in a way to prevent the set from just ulting away, and I think Little might have actually outplayed it again. These set ults have been incredible this game.
Yeah, and I want to just kind of, say it again. It does feel like it's more of an incremental. Oh, another big fight here.
Yeah, another fight here. Deathmaster Punch is in the middle of 2.
2v4?
Yeah, this is a nice bait from Deathmaster. He's probably going to go down, but I think the Jinx is about to put 2 more onto the board.
Oh.
There it is. Somehow Sidekick was going to get that one. Fortunately for Flannel, the Baron is not up for 30 seconds yet, so I imagine XSV is going to use this time to set up around the Baron and then defend the Vision, hopefully. But they're staying on the map for now, not going to reset. It looks like they're going to go for this tower instead, maybe the safer play.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do, and they're going to be able to get it practically free. But it's still the very same presence of what we saw earlier, where it's not like they're winning blowout fights. I mean, I think most of their fights that they've been winning have been, pick up 1 kill, maybe 2.
Oh no, Chaotic. Ooh,
But
so
they're
get
just winning a bunch of small skirmishes around the map, and they're just capitalizing, like you said, using that tempo, using it to win the next one and take the next fight and win that one, take the next fight and win that one. Like just very good positioning. Like they see Little taking that turret up on the top side, and they know they're gonna try to stop, so they position in the jungle to intercept them, which capitalize and turn those 2 kills on top into 2 more in the jungle. It's just insanely good play and good follow-ups from XSV.
Yeah. Speaking of good falls, Wukong is going to be there to clean up the Zodiac setup play there. This Vex 6-0-2. I mean, we were haters and we were expecting this set to fall behind the Fiora. And to Fiora's credit, she has done a good job of cleaning up turrets and farming, but I feel like Set has had such a big impact on this game, playing really well. And as a result, XSV are in a hugely advantaged position here. And I think we are potentially one team fight away from the game ending, as it tends to go with Jinx.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, they've been getting their incremental wins. Pick up 1 to 2 kills. If we see a fight just straight up go the way of XSV, they get a full sweep, especially as I believe, yeah, Baron is in play. If they go for this Baron fight, they go for a turn and they just pick up every member of Flannel, it could just be the death knell for this game. XSV are in a really good position, about 5k gold up. They're tied in terms of Drakes, but they have the advantage with the Grubs as well as the Otacon. They're in a really good position to be in this end stage, is where they're looking for the win con.
Flannel needs to back up. They need to back up. Because, like, Set is coming from behind here. Chaotic is caught again. The Fear is going to save him for now, but the Wukong is going to be able to get in here. This is surely going to be the team-ending fight. The Jinx is just free hitting over the back. This is definitely going to be the game ender. There's no way that Flannel is going to be able to recover from this. Fiora is still just pushing, and so is Jace, but to what end? Their mid lane is going to get completely destroyed here. Jinx is going to reset off this tower, and this inhibitor is not going to be long for the world, and I don't think these Nexus turrets are either.
Yeah, and the composition, I think, is just a very key piece to this win. I mean, this is just it. Stun comes through. The double flay. Oh, yeah, no. That's just game. Murcielago tries, and I think they're going to die in the... They might. Yep, they will.
Yeah.
Farming them in the fountain. That's going to be game. But yeah, no, the team composition, I think. The fact that, you have Jinx there and you have the Wukong. Wukong able just to shred, and the Jinx just able to completely execute anyone that's standing still. And you pair that with the Thresh, you pair that with the Vex, you pair that with the Set, all who have really good CC options and want to fight and brawl. And it just means that when Flannel are caught out of position, there's really nothing they could do. They were just shred it and execute it. It just felt like everything that XSV wanted to do, they not just did, but they did it extremely well, and they did it throughout the entire course of the game. It didn't feel like at any point XSV made any... I was gonna say any big trip ups. I can't really think of many trip ups at all, let alone a bad one from XSV.
Yeah, we saw a pretty clean game from XSV for the most part. I feel like they were mostly in control for a lot of that game. Flannel was obviously able to pick up some small wins related to map movements, as you would expect in their comp. But speaking of the comp, I think that maybe this is one of those comps that's like, Quintic is like, it was a good comp, like it was good, like it's just too hard to execute. One of those ones where it seems good in theory, but it's tough to actually play because you've got your 4-man trying to play safe, and then we see what happens if they get caught mid lane. It's just Jinx just wipes everyone, and the game is impossible from that point. But totally different XSV from what the difference between XSV and High Alert is dramatic. I thought that was a really clean game from them. One of the cleanest games I think I've actually seen on the desk yet this split. So a really good one from them. Flannel actually looked pretty decent as well. A few trip ups here and there. Murcielago getting outplayed in the top a few times, and Gertis kind of getting caught bot lane. Kind of blew up the game from there. But the fact that that's all it really took for them to lose is decent enough in its own right. So I think that we'll see a competitive one in the next game too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That didn't feel like a sentence on Flannel or a judgment on Flannel. XSV just had a really good game. And I think if they continue that form, that's going to be very scary. But I think Flannel against most teams in this split, I think if they had a game similar to that, there's absolutely a world in which they can claw that back and win. But XSV were just very different, whether it's the team composition or the extra team practice that they had in the background over the last week. It definitely very clearly made a difference. But that being said, of course, it is a best of three, so there's at least one more game to play. We're going to send it over to a brief intermission to allow the players to go get water, use the bathroom, all that jazz, and we will be back with game number 2 in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, we are underway, and in fact, they actually jumped the gun a little bit, overzealous. They're anxious to get into game number 2, so we're pretty much already through the original ban phase. So, that being said, it looks like it's pretty much the exact same bands. Actually, right now it is the exact same bands, just in a different order. So, nothing too crazy being missed, regardless. Either way. Oh, never mind. J4 ban. Save
Yep.
the new pick for last.
Yep. Fearless J4 in phase 2 is a common one, but it means they're going to leave the volley bear up, so that's going to be an easy first pick for XSV. Sinestro's
Oh, yeah.
got like he's got kind of like the Metro flow chart where he's got like 4 champions that it's just you pick whichever one is left on the thing, and Volibear is one of those champs.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the go-to jungler picks, if not the go-to in the current meta. So, I think obviously J4 is a very good pickup. I don't think that's a bad ban, but Volibear is just a pick ban right now. So, I would very much hope that Flannel came into this game with the understanding that if the volley bear is not banned, it's going to be picked away, especially if they are not going to be the team that is on blue side. But they do pick up that Morgana, pair it with the misfortune. I do think that's a pretty good Morgana. Technically, good go jungle. We've seen craziness like that before. Obviously, has not been meta in the jungle for I think years now, but
All
it
right.
is a thing.
As the resident pro play watcher, I'm going to fill you in a little bit. Morgana mid is a thing now that
Morgana
gets played.
mid.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but that
Yeah.
is the position that we see Morgana in pro play if it is played. So I'm actually expecting it to be mid, although it is a champ that pairs well with Misfortune, I think. So either way, it's going to be good, and I think it's a good early pickup to hold the flex. But the response to the Misfortune is going to be the Tristana. Honestly, I don't really think that's my favorite pick. You do have the point and click CC to stop the Misfortune ult, but typically Tristana loses to poke. She's very good against the lane because she can just kind of jump away, and she's decently susceptible to poke, as all she can really do is auto. You can't be dodging or using your W to dodge every bit of poke, so a little bit questionable there. But the Victor gonna pair up nicely. We've already got our front line and 2 DPS back line carries, so decent start to the comp for XSV. We'll see what the response from Flannel is.
If we're pulling out pro picks, and Morgana is going to in fact go mid, I want to see that Rammus 0-9 support. I want to see it. I want to see the Rammus support. No, it's going to be Leona. I mean, standard pick for Misfortune. I feel like any engage support that has the ability to just completely stun lock, a singular target is just super good for Misfortune. Just allows her to get her full combo off and just pretty much execute anyone. So Leona, I think, is a very valid pick there. XSV though, I'm actually really liking it. Like you said, I think the Tristana is a little bit of a weird pick, mostly better against all-in type heroes. But I mean, that Volley and Victor, obviously two of the best in their role currently, if not the best in their role. Also, just really good with front to back. Like you said, very good front line, very good back line now. It's the building of a comp that is very, I don't want to say LCK because usually that means more like boring in a sense, but it's just very clean, very clear, many roads to win. Every single one of those picks can win you the game. The hyper carry in Victor, the ADC that can scale extremely well as well with the Tristana Volley, who can win you in the mid game. It's just a very good trio to have on the board to start us off. And as we finish up the second wave of bans, obviously the top side is going to be the most heavily targeted. That Renekton, that Yorick, and the Ornn all in taken off the board. The Swain, I think, is interesting. I don't know why. Maybe they're worried about Swain APC because that
I
Victor. I mean,
I think I know why they banned Swain because
what-
look at Flannel's comp. They have no damage. how did they prevent? Please don't be Galio. Like anything but Galio, I'm begging you. Like it cannot be Galio. They don't have any damage. Like I understand what they're going for here, but at the end of the day, there's this
okay.
famous quote. There's this famous quote from Meteos a while back. An old school 100 Thieves team drafted a Talia jungle and 4 supports, unironically. And he's like, you can look at these champions like individually and all their like individual synergies and stuff, but at the end of the day, you got a Talia and 4 supports. Currently, Flannel is looking a little bit like a Talia and 4 supports. I don't see any damage. There's lots of cool synergies and lots of good stuff. Obviously, the Leona Galio can set up for the Misfortune ults. Makes landing Morgana binds really easy, but also it doesn't matter if they can't move. You can't kill them. So we need a heavy damage threat. I'm still unsure where this Morgana is going. It could be mid, knowing Angrota, or it could be jungle, knowing Angrota. So like maybe we'll see a really high DPS mid here. But Gianna,
Yeah.
and is that Quinn locked in?
No, it's being
No. Okay.
hovered. Okay, Shen. Okay.
Okay.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, Gianna
Yeah.
disengage really strong into this comp too. I think that this is an excellent pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's like Morgana, like you said, Morgana jungle, I think is on the board. I think is a little crazy. I definitely think the reason she hasn't been played that much in the jungle is because I think her damage to monsters has that. I mean, that just doesn't work out of jungle, right? Because the
Yeah,
Galio, yeah, okay, yeah, I think her clear is not very great. Um, which I would say, I mean, last game both junglers finished their clear at like 350, which is not very good. But now put on to a champion that has typically a worse clear than a Trundle, I think that's a little scary. Um, who knows? Maybe Angrotus has been practicing this. Maybe this is a
yeah.
pocket pick that Angrotus has pulled out to, yeah, a trap card that no one's expecting that will do
Yeah,
some work.
I will say, in Flannel's defense, I think that the Jax pick is probably the best pick that they could have taken with their last pick, recognizing it's like, oh my god, we have no damage. It's like, well, let's just pick the champion that does the most damage we can think of. And I do think that Jax is one of those champions. He definitely provides enough damage. Maybe not for this team, but lots of DPS coming from the top lane. Maybe not the best pick into the Shen,
Yeah.
specifically for lane, but for the comp, it's absolutely necessary. So I am glad that they opted for that. Although it does look to me like they're going to try and play this kind of like 4-1 style again, because they've drafted a similar comp. They have a strong side lane and a 4-man unit that's kind of hard to engage on and can fight on their own pretty well in Siege. So we'll see if they're able to run it back successfully this time. But I think XSV have drafted a pretty strong comp into the engage of Flannel, so it's going to be pretty hard for these Leona Galio combos to connect.
Yeah, I think the big question mark is going to be this top side because I do agree. There's not a lot of damage, and I mean there's a decent amount of protection with that Leona and Gallia, so that front line is going to be there for Flannel for the rest of the team and across the map. But if Shen knows what they're doing, if Little knows what they're doing on Shen, which I think they do, I don't remember if we watched. I feel like we watched Little play Shen in the past, and they did a very good job. I think this is a situation where if they know how to play Shen and they play this very aggressive, because I think Shen wins the level one. If they take the fight early and they could just put the Shax behind very quickly, it could be a very scary game for Flannel. Not having Jax get any prio means they will not be able to have as much agency around the map. And if that becomes the case, then, I mean, without that damage, Flannel's team does suffer quite a bit. So I do worry for Flannel. This feels a lot more this feels a lot more like the Exodia Cup that I was mentioning that me and Sheep talked about all the time, where it's like if everyone does exactly what they need to do and everyone gets ahead in their lane, they'll be great. But if one person falls behind or one piece of the puzzle isn't there, I I don't know how they get back into it. Well, XSV have yet again, I think, had a really good draft. I do think it's a little bit more bog standard, but it's another one of those very clean drafts where there's many different routes, there's many different avenues of approach and how they can win the game. I mean, the Janna and Shen, I don't think are going to be the hard carries, but they're going to do very damn good at their jobs for what they need to do. So the fact that there's three big carries that all could win or have a massive impact on the game, even if one or two of them are not doing well. I think XSV have won this draft. I think Flannel are going to struggle, but it's one of those situations where if Jax gets ahead, who knows what happens? Flannel could just absolutely sweep this map. But I still personally think I lean the XSV composition here.
Yeah, I think I do as well. They have the kind of old school Nocturne Oriana comp, which is, you just ult in with the Volley Bear and then the Shen R is on top. One of the things that I always talk about when I see Shen is I want to see the Shen ult used aggressively, not defensively. They've got a really good opportunity to set up Volley Bear dives for like 4-man dives bot with Shen plus the Volley ult. You turn off that tower, get the easy plays bot lane. So I'm hoping that we see that. Uh, like I said, I think both comps definitely have the opportunity to play, and both rely on a lot of solid teamwork. So I think for either of these comps to work, teams are going to need to be on the same page. We obviously have criticized Flannel's comp as being a little bit low damage, but if you're able to connect a Morgana Q with a Leona combo plus a Galio over top, none of that really matters because if you're able to connect with enough people, they'll probably die anyway. And Morgana jungle damage is nothing to scoff at. She'll rush the Leandry, she'll be able to shred through these tanks. Shen not going to be able to do anything. against this Morgana damage either. So definitely have an opportunity to play, and I think that both teams have drafted well enough that they can play the game. But if I was going to give an edge, I would give it to XSV as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as we're waiting for them to kind of round out the actual picks in the league client, which we can confirm there that it is going to be the Morgana jungle, which is the logical thing to do here. I mean, I'm taking a look at some of the stats here for our Flannel. And fun fact, the fact that they lost game one, that is 100%
Jack are going to be enough. It's going to be a 2v2. I don't think that there's going to be much here. Going to panic place the W on nothing, which is pretty funny. But where are they going? Okay, they're able to get a ward down. Both teams going to get vision into the enemy team jungle, so we're going to know where junglers are starting this game. Very different from the last game, which is just kind of sit there. Little, though. Oh, they just needed to wait. They just needed to wait.
Very unfortunate. Little is going to get out. It's going to make him take a minute to get back to lane, and it looks like they might actually just go for a little scuffle here. Murcielago wants this fight. I think Shen wins this level 1. But
Little doesn't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a close one. I'm not really sure Shen can do anything at level 1. At level 3, he's pretty strong, but Jackson's Counter-Strike's going to be able to get a few autos off for free, so pretty difficult. Looks like priority in the bot lane is going to go over to Civil and side click, as one would expect from double range.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Leona's going to struggle a little bit here in this situation, at least early on.
Nice.
But that being said, one good lockdown from this Leona, and that could just be it for the lane. Civil's actually
there it is, the immediate level 2. The Gianna Tornado is only going to connect from 1, but the Civil autos are going to do a lot along with the bomb. Chaotic is going to be forced out, but Civil getting low himself. Overall, trade is pretty even. Leona E is just barely going to miss. That's probably enough to seal the deal if that connects, but it's just barely going to miss. We're going a little bit ahead on the tempo in the jungle here. Both junglers are pathing down here. ADCs, in the bot lane, we're missing the Leona Ignites and the Gianna and Tristana secondary summoner spell, so a bit of an advantage for Flannel here, and I do think that Morgana is going to be able to get there first, especially since Deathmaster is going to look for this invade into the top side. He has the prio for it, so I think this is a pretty good look. Morgana not going to be able to fight the Volibear at level 3.
Yeah, I actually don't know if they're
aware over there. There it is.
Them. Oh,
nice smite from Deathmaster Pones. Unfortunately, he's going to queue into the Morgana shield, but he's going to be happy with that one. Meanwhile, some more scuffling in the bot lane. It doesn't look like Civil and Sideclick are going to back off, even though they know that the Volibear might be there. He's just going to run straight mid as well. This is probably going to be a flash into Galio. I don't think there's any way he gets out of this without it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Volibear immediately causing a lot of impact throughout the map. It is going to stall up the Morgana. Also, not having blue buff is definitely going to hurt. A little bit of wet noodle fight on top side, to no one's surprise. And on top of that, even though having the impact on mid and interfering with the Morgana's clear there, it's actually not going to cost them any camp. They are going to lose that scuttle, though, which is not amazing, especially as Drake is up in about a minute here. But I'd say that might just be worth it, as it does help get, I think, both their laners ahead. It gives Jinx a little bit of room to breathe, and it gives Victor more room to put pressure onto this Galio.
Yeah, so last week we saw Sinestro go for plays like this, and he ended up falling really far behind. And I'll give you all in the chat a little bit of a lesson on jungle tempo. In terms of like individual advantage, this is actually like hugely advanced for Morgana. Even though the farm is even right now, Morgana actually reset her camps, and she's going to get double scuttle here. Meanwhile, Volibear is late on resetting his camps. So the only way this is favorable for the Volibear is if he's actually able to get to Morgana's second camp spawn, which means that he would have to ignore his top camp. So overall, in terms of the farm department, this is hugely advanced for Morgana. She's going to be able to clean up her grubs here, reset, and then go straight to her bot camps. Meanwhile, Volibear should be a little bit behind here. So Morgana should be first on the plate, or the next play bot side, but we'll see if they're able to actually bring that to fruition.
Yeah. We do see a little bit of a roam here from Sunset Diner as Pones. I think that's just one. Nope. Jax is going to be able to get out just barely, and Grotus is in the area.
Yeah, Deathmaster Pones doesn't care about anything I was just saying. He does not care one bit. He is here to play for the team, and he's going to be able to secure this kill. No, it's just barely going to escape. The Shen is going to go down, though. This is going to be a huge advantage for Little, as he's able to crash this giant wave onto the Jax, who's just going to have to recall right in front of it. That's a sad one. Oh, I just want Jax to turn around and catch it. Please, I'm begging you. That hurts.
Yeah.
Hurts. The TP is going to
I saw a little bit of... Yeah, I was going to say, I saw a little bit of a turn back there from Deathmaster Pones. I really thought they were just going to go back around to try Bush and just maybe try to collapse in on the Jax there. But nope. they are just going to let them go back. TP, like you said, is going to mean that there's not going to be too much lost. Shen's walking back with the wave as well, so not going to lose anything, even though they're not investing the TP. So that's actually nice. That means Little has a TP advantage for them here. I think Zodiac is doing very good locking down that mid lane. Bishop Donkadonk's doing pretty well. Is ahead on farm. But, I mean, the fact that this lane is going pretty neutral, I think, is always going to be in favor of the victor. Just allowing him time to farm is always very scary.
This is a drag timer. This is a drag timer. Ignore the bot lane. We're gonna go do the drag. Go do the drag. You have prio, please. Okay. They're gonna opt for the fight instead, which is a little riskier. Volibear definitely knows this is happening. By the way, there's no way that he doesn't. So this is gonna be a 3v3 in the bot lane.
Yeah, and so gonna finish his clear off the top of it because they're not gonna try to rest this as well.
They might be overextending here. We'll see if they're able to get the Morgana. Or the Tristana. They are able to connect with everything onto the Tristana. She's able to jump out for now. The Shen is going to secure it. The Shen E is also going to miss. Galio all comes down too. They are just throwing everything. Fortunately, they are going to be able to connect with Volibear, so I think they're going to be able to get something off of a huge Galio Tump that's going to connect with everybody. That is going to be a 2-kill advantage for Flannel overall. I think that's going to be the end of the fight, and maybe we see a drag here. Maybe not.
Yeah,
quite
I mean,
tempo. It's close.
I think, yeah, we do see the two make their way above. So that is going to be Drake secured here. I think so. Yeah, okay, they're going to start it.
Yeah.
Very low health bars, though. But I honestly think that could have been a very different story. The tornado from the Janna just goes a little bit wide. But if it hits one of them, I think it hits like 3 people there. And that's a big interruption, a knock-up. And that CC could have completely the tides. So I think that was a win by inches for Flannel. But they'll take any win they can get. As, again, they do secure that first Drake. It is the Mountain Drake, so that's going to be nice. They have the momentum and the tempo going forward, and Grubs just spawned. With that being said, it does actually look like Volibear is in the area, and it's just going to pick him up while they're doing a bit of a reset on the side of Flannel. So it is going to be one major jungle objective for another, it seems.
Yeah, it's going to be the objectives traded, which is fine. I think both teams are happy with that. One thing that I do want to point out is Chaotic and Sunset Diner did a really good job of selling that. They really baited Deathmaster opponents into thinking that Morgana wasn't there. So that was a nice bait from them. They're able to get the Tristana to jump right into the Morgana queue, which is nice, and ultimately kind of what leads to that extended win for them with all of those globals coming out. So both teams kind of throw in the kitchen sink at bot lane, which is pretty standard, I think. Morgana has a lot of camps to clear here. Both junglers going to be on a similar tempo now after that objective trade. Victor is going to be forced to walk out of mid lane here. It looks like Flannel is just going to move their bot lane into the mid here. Meanwhile, Galio is going to be farming against his Tristana. I'm not sure if they're really going to be able to get much out of that, as I think Tristana's kind of happy to farm this Galio on the bot lane and get a level advantage for himself.
Yeah. Looking at the general state of the game right now, obviously the kills are still very low, but there is about a 1k gold advantage in favor of Flannel, which I think comes down to just general CS difference right now. I mean, it's about a 20 CS gap between this Jax and Shen in favor of Murcielago. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap between the Galio and the Victor, but as of right now, just very small things are putting Flannel ahead. Very similar to what we saw from XSV, but now Flannel doing it to great effect as well. That being said, there's still a lot to play for. I definitely think the jungle objectives are going to be a big thing in this game. We already saw how you're using fights that create tempo to collect them. And last game, I mean, I think that was a big key to why XSV were able to constantly put themselves ahead, is because they were constantly fighting for and taking objectives and putting Flannel in awkward spots. So it seems like Flannel are now aware of that and are making up for it in game number 2.
Yeah, unlike last game, I think that Flannel's win condition is coming together a little bit better, because last game the Fiora was never really able to get much other than a few towers and was kind of losing the side lane fights to the set. This game, Murcielago is kind of giving Little the works top lane because he's getting himself a nice advantage. He's winning all these extended trades, and I think that it's going to get better before it gets worse for Murcielago. But in the top lane, he's going to TP right into the volley bear, but he's going to be out for now, and I don't think there's any way that they can make anything happen here in the top lane.
Yeah, no, not even going to invest the ultimate. They're just going to back away. Looks like it is just going to be clear. Morgana's going to be noted there. Zodiac definitely afraid for their life. Actually, is there a possible all-in? No. Okay, a big stun for on the Chaotic does mean that gets stalled out.
Yeah, a little bit disconnected on the play there, but that's okay. That's not a lot lost there for the play. I don't think there's anything going to be happening to Galio here. The Morgana is just farming up. I will say, in the long game, as I'm seeing the comps play out, I'm starting to think that if this game just continues at this pace of no kills and just quiet farming, I do think that's probably advantage for Flannel, because I do think that Jax is going to start winning these side lanes hard enough that he's really going to be able to force XSV around the map in a way that he wasn't able to last.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I also think this Morgana is going to be more and more scary the longer that she is allowed to just kind of hyper farm. Obviously, is a little bit behind now, but has been given a lot of room and has only been really challenged in their jungle once, which I think is very interesting. Galio pretty much just needing to stay neutral. Chaotic is doing pretty good, has yet to fall. So if they continue to, even though it's very slight, if they continue to outfarm this Tristana as well, I think Flannel are doing a very good job. Oh, okay. I thought for a second Murcielago may have DC'd there, but no. It was all ruse. Tricks and deceit.
Both top laners are really just trying to set up freezes on each other, and both doing a pretty good job of it, I think. We've kind of seen the wave in only really in 2 spots throughout the game, either right where it's at now or in the exact same spot on the other side for a little. So that being said, I'm not sure that freezing is the right move as Dragon is spawning. It looks like Little does have TP advantage for this, so if he starts to walk down, they are going to have the advantage. The Morgana Q is getting connected onto side click, and the MF ult over the top is going to be enough to clean it up. That is just a freebie. Bye-bye. That's probably just a free drag for Flannel.
Yeah, that's free drag, and that is actually huge for them. Also off that kill, they secure the feat of warfare. Again, just another position where very similar to the last game. They are now
this is
very close. They're gonna play
Shenny is gonna come through, but they don't have the men. This is crazy. Galio's going to be able to get out for now. The Tristana is going to be able to clean up Chaotic and jump back out. The Morgana ult isn't going to connect with much. He's going to go down to the Victor Laser on the back end. Actually not. She's just barely going to get out. Little is probably going to be able to clean up Sunset Diner here. It looks like XSV is able to get a double kill onto the Tristana. It's actually looking good for them. I guess that they saw all of the ults come out from Flannel and said to themselves, that's enough. And it looks like it was, because this Galio is probably going to go down to the turret dive as well.
Yeah. Oh? No, it looks like they're going to prior the Drake, which I think is absolutely fair here. Stop that Drake stacking and prevent them from getting a little bit closer to the feet of strength. Galio, I don't think, is a very big target for them, but they are going to at least continue to put pressure on that bot side. Turrets are going to be the big concern. Most of them have lost turret plating at this point. That top tier 1 is very weak. I'd imagine XSV invest a lot to try to keep that to prevent them from losing the feature strength. But that's a huge win for XSV. Obviously, going into that in the 1v3, pick up 3 kills uncontested is massive for them. It really helps with the gold deficit as well.
They definitely saw something that I didn't. I guess they figured that without Misfortune and without Leona and without Morgana ult, that Flannel doesn't really have anything to fight, and I think they were actually right. they didn't have much to fight after that. Misfortune, not known for her ability to fight without her ult, so we'll see if Murcielago is able to 2v1 this. I'm actually a little bit afraid that he might be able to. The Janna ult is going to give Little enough confidence to go forward. They're probably going to be able to run this down. Leona is here to back them up. I think that they're going to have to leave. Yeah, just nothing really going to come of that. Looked like maybe there was something there, but Murcielago is so strong that they have to play it super slow, and he just kind of walks out for free.
Yeah. Oh, a collapse here. Side click would be a bad spot.
Yeah, the ult doesn't connect. The TPs are coming through. That TP is going to be way too slow. Yeah, this is nothing. This is a big nothing burger.
It does cost them a lot of health on this mid-tier one. There's no way that mid-tier one falls. Actually, it might, because it actually looks like instead of going out to try to save it, they are in fact just going to go for the Rift Herald. They have secured the feat of strength because that tier one on top side has fallen. So, yeah, I'm gonna take about 1,000 gold difference between this Jax and Shen. By the way, that is crazy. I think that's pretty much a couple hundred gold between a couple. It's about another 1,000 gold in favor of this Tristana too. So, I think the gold gap is definitely kind of evened out, but the advantage for each side is on opposite side of the map. So bot lane seems to be the move for XSV, while this Jax, as we kind of predicted, is definitely the win con for Flannel, already ahead and Little struggling to do much against it.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Jax does not have a completed item, and Little does. So if there was ever a time to fight, maybe now would be the time. Also, funnily enough,
losing the straight. Why did I say that?
yeah. Also, funnily enough, I did want to point out that Volibear has once again built the funny item. We'll see if it ends up being good as Galio is getting the punishment. That is an MR stacking Galio against the Tristana. I don't know what Flannel is doing with these lane assignments, but it's gonna result in this Volibear getting turned though by the Volibear and almost certainly killed in the back end of this. Morgana is gonna get out for now. Cyclic is gonna take a little bit of damage. This is definitely another dead one for Flannel.
Yeah, and I don't even know why they invest the ultimate there. Zodiac dead? No, Zodiac will be able to get off. A little bit of a movement speed buff is going to help him out. Definitely under pressure, but yeah, that's a huge 2 kills. That does also slingshot them into the lead in terms of gold, and they might be able to capitalize. Can they get sunset back here?
That is a tanky Leona. Yeah, but she is just not moving.
Sitting in that storm. Oh my. Yeah. That 3 kills uncontested there for XSV. Flannel, very good start, but maybe slipping through the grasp a little bit. Murcielago is still a problem, though.
There's no way
that
Leona...
actually.
Yeah, there's no way that Leona looks at the death recap and sees 4 seconds of CC and immediately buys Boots cloth armor for the tabbies. I mean, even if it's the right choice, like mentally, how do you do that? Like,
oh, that's rough.
That's crazy. That's crazy. This is definitely gonna get dead Little. There's no way he's getting out of this one, but Angrotus Q is not gonna connect. Little is gonna flash, and he's actually gonna be able to walk this out. I would have liked to have seen a little bit better coordination on the CC from Flannel. Ultimately, it's still going to be good for them, especially since Little is just going to walk up and probably die anyway. This is looking like a bait. I think Little might have outplayed us too, because Murcielago is going to be able to pick up 1. So far, it's a 1-for-1, but he's definitely going to go out here. He's going to block the Q with the counter strike for now, but it's not going to be long for this world. We'll see what Flannel's able to get on the other side of the map. Right before Dragon, too, by the way. That's a dead jungler for Flannel, so XSV probably going to be able to pick this one up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We were talking about how well Flannel were doing, and they were in command. It just feels, after that one play where they lost 3 uncontested, it feels like it shook their brains. It's like they got a concussion or something. The team is just not doing as good as they were before. They're making weird plays, bad positioning. I mean, Sunset Diner is just gonna just take a bunch of pot shots. It just seems very weird to Flannel.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? They just don't have that dog in them. They're against one-time second place finisher Deathmaster Pones. Like, they can't compete with the mental strength of that one there. They're gonna fold. Falling down one. That being said, gold very even despite the scoreline. A little bit of a dragon advantage for XSV in the 2-1. Doing a good job coming back into this game. And that Tristana does have 2 items at 20 minutes, which is always scary. Misfortune just kind of sitting on Bloodthirster and components. So right now on the map, any kind of team fight, I'm taking XSV for the time being.
Yeah, it's also a 2k gold advantage over to the Tristana as opposed to Misfortune. On top of that, they pick up that Drake with which is the Hextech Soul, which I think is a massive boon for Tristana. That attack speed and the ability haste, I think, is amazing for her. Yeah, no, that's horrifying. If I'm on Flannel, I'm very, very scared. We do see them kind of at least getting vision around Otacon. I'd imagine they definitely want to play for it as they've been falling behind on Drakes. Is it Grotus just dead?
Grotus.
Yeah, and Grotus is just dead.
Not
Okay.
again, not again. Oh no, this is going to be a disaster. The Tristana's going to punt the Leona out for now. Galio's doing his best to run away, but Sunset Diner is just in no man's land, and so is JS Chaotic. This is a mess. It looks like Flannel is just falling apart. This is Otacon for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's a free one, too. They can't contest. I mean, there's a couple low health bars, but I don't think there's anyone that really... Again, the big problem with this Flannel comp is very little damage. So the fact that Jax is already seen up on the top side means they just pretty much have free range down here. And yeah, that's just that. Little is, well, struggling, has been doing well across the map. Struggling in this matchup, particularly 3-1 and 5 so far.
Yeah, he may have baited himself here. I think Mercy Logo is going to win this in the long term here. Shen cooldowns are way too... I think Jax is just going to beat him up here. He's just barely going to have enough to get out. But yeah, that last team fight was... Flannel was actually so far out of position, I was dizzy. Like, looking at it, I'm like, who is on what team? Like, I can't even... They're so far out of position, it's like hard to even tell who's who. You know what I mean? They're just kind of in the middle of XSV, and they give everything up for it.
And they're being so... I really hesitate to say it, but it's almost very careless with their positioning when they know that they're setting up very clearly, at least to get vision and play for space for the Otacon, and by XSV, and yet Grotus gets caught so far out of position there. Like, why are we not at least keeping the jungle? It's one thing if, you know, like, Sunset Diner gets caught out of position, because, like, losing the support, not good. You definitely want that for the fight. But when you're playing for Otacon, you need your junglers. So why are we having them so far out of position? It's just a little baffling. Flannel, I definitely think maybe losing their heads a little bit here.
Yeah, as a former player, I'll tell you something a little bit about confidence here. After this play, though, Volibear is going to go onto Leona here. I think that Leona is definitely dead here. That ult is not going to be enough to save her. This Volibear is just going to beat her up with this full damage build. And he's just going to be able to walk this one out super easy. But like I was saying, like, you can kind of almost see how bad the game is going based on the confidence of the players. That Leona just walked up point blank and queued a Janna that was face-checking a bush and didn't commit, even though there was no one there. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh
JS Chaotic
is
just one shot by this Tristana. The Volibear ult is going to mean that the dive is here. Sybil is going to go absolutely crazy with these resets. Probably not going to be able to get Angrotus. Actually, they're going to be able to get that too between two towers. Speaking of confidence, XSV has a lot of it right now, and they deserve it, as the kill gap dramatically extends in a matter of, what, like a minute? This game went from incredibly close to completely blown open.
I mean, I forget if it was regular season. I can't remember if it was regular season or if it's playoffs. I think it was playoffs, but there's a reason Seville was the MVP last split, I think, of playoffs. I mean, just insanely good performances. If you give Civil room to breathe, Civil is going to make you pay 7-1 and 3 on the Tristana. Like I said, also being buffed up by the Hex. Sunset Dina's just dead. Yep, delete it. Goodbye. And Murcielago is going to fall because there's all 5 of them sitting in this jungle. They're just dead because Drake's up in 25. And they're so confident in these fights that they're just sitting in Flannel's jungle. Let me rephrase. XSV's jungle. Flannel the blue side anymore. They've lost it.
Yeah, I don't know what Valter is feeding these guys, but they do not look like the same team as last week. What having Chime on your team will do to you, I guess. I don't know, but they look a lot better. With Zodiac in the mid lane and side click on the support. Janna very quietly having an excellent game. 0, 1, and 12 is absolutely the support scoreline you want to see. That's the kind of stuff that you live for.
Yeah, it does feel like they just kind of got the right pieces, and those trades that they made have just really unlocked. This is a very scary team. This is a scary look. I mean, they looked good last week when we saw them. But there was definitely big question marks in their play, which meant they got caught out by Ember, who, again, tied at number 1, 3-0. But man, they just look so scary right now. This feels very Final Boss last year, where Final Boss was just kind of walking people throughout the entirety of the regular season. It feels very reminiscent.
Yeah, this storm is probably going to be enough to clean up the Leona. Maybe she's able to just barely walk out.
Yeah.
We should have Dragon. Actually, Dragon's already taken. Never mind. I'm
Yeah,
oblivious.
it's gone.
Yeah. Shows how much I'm paying attention. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's a dragon, but it is already gone. It is instead Baron on the menu. Yeah.
Oh my God!
A dog, he's gone. See you later. He's just gonna go into the MF2 and absolutely smurf on this game. How is Civil full health? How? The redemption cleanup is not gonna connect. He's just barely gonna miss. Janna is in no man's land. The tornado is just barely going to miss, and Janna is going to go down, but not before a highlight reel play from the Tristana. That was a nice one.
I would just like to remind everyone that Galio isn't, despite what you just saw, Galio is in fact tanked. Gets deleted. Murcielago's dead here. Deathmaster Prone's also with little with the TPN. I don't think Murcielago's just dead man walking. Getting all that control. Also with Zodiac pushing up in mid. I'd imagine this is probably just a big Baron play. Yeah, a big Baron play. Obviously there is vision currently from Flannel, so they'll be aware of it the moment it gets started. But that turret's gone. Wow, Civil is insane right now. Obviously, I think that, that's 3 items now at 27 minutes. Oh, God. Civil is close to being twice the amount of gold. As Chaotic here. 13k gold against 8.6, I think. Oh, my.
Yeah, that's not real. That's total pain. Morgana is going to be able to snipe that red buff, but the Leona is just not going to be able to connect with anything here. A lot of praise to be had for members of XSV this game. Once again, I want to shout out Little. Has been really kind of getting beat up a little bit in the side lane, but one of the cool things about Draft League is that when you come into these games, you have certain expectations about certain players, right? Murcielago, one of the higher value players in the draft, I think. He's one of the guys that you expect to win lane and put all your points into, and he is just not able to get anything done against Little, who I don't know Little. I mean, maybe they're insane, and I just don't know that, but I have not seen them play before, and I don't imagine that many of the managers would have put too high of a prio on them, but they are showing that they are really valuable in this game. Tristana's just going to jump in 1v3 and
There's no win
way from the looks of it. Yeah, that's a 2-for-1 and a 1v3. With just a tiny bit of support from Janna. I'm not sure what that redemption is. That's a little goofy, but I think that Sunset Diner is definitely going to be dead here. This is where the Folly Bear build really shines, where he's able to just kind of like beat up and DPS one person. As Leona is going to go down really quick, and I think that this is probably going to mean the Baron on the back end as well. Maybe they'll hesitate a little bit because they don't have Sybil, and they're just going to chase down this Galio first and get this kill as well before they go for that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that absolutely does make sense. They're almost certainly going to get this. I would imagine this immediately becomes a turn. Maybe not for Baron, but they're almost certainly going to put a lot of vision down. They're going to get control of the top side blue here, much like they did last time, because Drake is up in 1 minute. So you'd imagine, and it's Soul. They're at Soul point right now. So you'd imagine they're going to just try to do what they can to get as much control as possible and just take that Drake. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure
disengage.
How it was necessary, but he's able to put a little bit of pressure. I'm actually glad that we didn't see them go. I'm caught with a nice snipe there. That's funny. I'm glad that we didn't see them rush over that Baron, because I think that would have been a little bit of overextending the tempo. Hopefully they can get their backs off here and go for this Hex Drag, because I think surely Hex Drag is going to secure this. They're going to have the Tristana in the mid lane in time to push this out before this drag, so this should be pretty much game secured for XSV as long as get too excited here. Wow, he takes no damage.
Wow, yeah. They can't get too overzealous here. There's still absolutely damage to be found on this team, which is not a lot. So if it's a 1v, if it's a 1v3, not everyone can just absolutely execute someone like Civil's build can. So, oh, this is very scary. I don't know if I like the positioning here.
Oh my God, Civil is having fun. Having fun.
Yeah. This is gone. Oh, Chaotic. Oh no, this is out of a horror movie. Did he smite?
He did. Yeah. He has another one. He'll have it for Dragon's Fun.
Oh God.
It is pretty funny though.
Yeah, this does just kind of feel like it. I mean, Drake is going to be secured. No one really has a say. Galio can make their way down. I think it'll be too late, and they'll just die for it. Um, so it's just a 3-man push down mid, but it really feels like it's a full 5-man with Civil in play. Just any CC could mean the execution of any member of Flannel as long as Civil's in play. So this is very scary. Plus, also now this Tristana has the Hex Tech Soul, so the extra ability haste, that extra attack speed plus the Chain Lightning. There's just so much damage coming from every member of XSV right now.
Yeah. If there were somebody on Flannel known for their toxicity, this would be the kind of game that would have resulted in something changing in the offseason. But meanwhile, they're going to go in. They're getting really overzealous. This turret is going to do a ton of damage. Deathmaster Pones is going to go down. Zodiac is going to go down as well, but the Tristana is still alive. We'll see if she's able to get Chaotic into the background. The Janna Tornado is not going to connect as a result of a miscommunication on the Tristana R. Tristana is going to go down in this turn as well, and XSV is throwing. What is this? Tristana still somehow kills 2. Nothing left on the chase. It's going to be a 3 for 2.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing there. I think taking the turret definitely is a... Because if they take turret there, if they just reposition, I know there was, I think, 1 or 2 tried to dive in on the Misfortune to interrupt that Bullet Storm. I don't think it was successful. If they just turn, they don't take as much damage from that Bullet Storm. They focus on the turret, get that down early, and they don't start taking those chunks of turret damage. They could immediately turn back and win that fight, but they're a little overzealous, a little bit too kill hungry, and they get punished for it. That being said, it's still like an 8k gold lead, and it's 27-9. I don't think it's going to be really that big of a deal in the long run, but I mean, a bunch of those plays and XSV could throw it away, but it looks like Baron is the next choice. They're fighting Murcielago up on the top side, and they cleared out Vision, so okay.
Yeah, nice Q from the Janna is actually going to interrupt the Jax Q. We've got a full-on brawl here. Volibear's behind them. This is probably going to be the nail in the coffin for Flannel. I think the Volibear's just going to destroy them here. The Morgana ult is going to buy a little bit of time, but it's going to be immune with the Volibear ult. Murcielago is going to go down on the back end here. The Counter-Strike is going to buy a little bit of time. I don't think he has anything to jump to. The Misfortune is not really going to be able to connect with much. That's a double kill for the Volibear, and there's going to be more. This might be a Penta angle, depending on how nice his teammates are. This is going to be number 3, I think, onto Sunset Diner. There's the triple kill. Not going to go for any more, but they are going to be able to get the game off this. As Donka is going to go down to the Victor Burn, most likely. There it is. And Tristana is going to be mid lane ending the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think there's really anything they can do. I mean, Chaotic is here, but Chaotic 2, 6, and 6 is 6k gold behind Civil, and obviously it's Tristana, so also the turret damage that Tristana can do. It's just a little crazy. Yeah, just gone. Just both Chaotic and the turret is just removed. The rest of the team is there. They don't need much of a wave. They have what they need, and that is going to be it. XSV are going to, again, in very confident manner, just kind of dismantle Flannel, one of the 2 3-0 teams in the split, bring them back down to earth.
Yeah, I'm curious to look at the strength of schedule now, because I'm maybe doubting this a little bit. I don't think that Flannel looked terrible. I think that both teams had a pretty competitive game 1, even though it ended up going the way of XSV. But this one looked a little bit tough for Flannel. Going to go down 2-0. Only 1 remaining 3-0 team, and it is that Ember squad that we watched last week. But this XSV under the new brand is looking really, really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned strength of schedule. Fun fact, Flannel's next opponent is Ember. So that's going to be rough. You definitely hope that Flannel have a good bounce back game, because they are not going to get an easier opponent. At least in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be, and then they have Merc after that, who I believe is also a pretty darn good team as well. So Flannel are definitely going to have a little bit of a gauntlet for the next couple of weeks. Well, XSV, I mean, they have Divine Ascension, who I think is going to be a good team. I don't think we've watched them yet, but I think they're a good team. And then after that, they have ID, who I think they should be able to beat. So I think XSV are in a really good position to kind of build off of this momentum. See, last week is more of a trip than anything. They make a couple of swaps. They look super, super good against one of the best teams in the split, and then they have a really good strength of schedule that they'll be able to build off of. While Flannel, that was a rough loss. I definitely think that we saw a very different Flannel than what we were expecting to see coming into today. I'm hoping this is maybe just a trip up because they were really good. And like you said when we first started, it's a very fun storyline. Flannel being like, I think a bottom three team in split number one. I think they were like second bottom. Then they get to last split where they get tied third and fourth, excuse me. And throughout the split, they're very chaotic, and it seems like they really shouldn't be where they are, but they put on good games and they're entertaining. And then they get to this split, and they just seemed really, really strong. But I'm really hoping they continue that, and this is just a trip up. But man, XSV, it made it look like they were on a different playing field from Flannel.
Yeah, one of the things that I think makes XSV really scary is that typically in these draft leagues, you're winning because you have one guy that's just like really dominant, right? Like you got
Yeah.
like that Rutledge or LGA type player that is just like completely running the map, and like that's how you're winning all of your games. We saw that with Jake last split, although they also had JDK, but these franchise leagues a little bit higher power. But one of the things that I want to say about XSV that I saw today is every single player on the team looks strong. Like
Yeah.
every player was making plays, had good moments. I didn't really see anything egregiously bad from them today. I thought almost everything was like really strong, even when they're falling behind. It didn't seem to affect their mental at all. They still looked really strong in all the fights. So XSV, I think, is a really, really strong team by LFA standards because I don't really see that weak link anywhere. Flannel, obviously, I'm a little bit disappointed with their performance today. I think that we saw the kind of other side of Angrotas today. Sometimes he's one of those players that looks like one of the best players in the league, and then sometimes he looks like this, where maybe he wasn't joking about first time in Morgana. I don't know. We
Yeah,
might have seen something.
yeah, the 2 and 10 score line's a little damning. I won't lie. It's not a great look on the Morgana jungle.
Yeah, but we don't care too much about like individual performance. I think the actual really concerning thing is that they just didn't really seem to be on the same page at the beginning of the game. It looks like they're kind of like trying to play for this Jax win condition, but they kind of gave up on it and forgot about it because he's like winning and building advantages for himself, and then like the map is kind of falling apart around him. And we were saying it's like, if Flannel just kind of sits here and does nothing and XSV isn't able to like force anything, I think maybe Flannel is in a good position that game, but instead they just get caught like 100 times in a row. They lose Dragon and Otacon, and the game is just over at that point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as much as we're kind of talking, Flannel having a very rough game, to be completely fair, it is also very, very difficult to have any sense of a good game when you have Civil casually dropping 52k damage on you. Um, that is
That
an
Toronto was
insane
crazy.
amount of damage. And just to put in perspective of like how just insane this entire team is, because obviously, yeah, that's very good, but to your point, the fact that everyone does well. Besides the support, I mean, it's Janna. Janna's not going to do any damage. Let's be so real. Besides the Janna, the next lowest damage was 24k damage, which is still 3k higher than anyone else on Flannel's team. It was a complete, almost even across the board average of like 25k damage from the other three. Just insanely good overall performance. XSV, I said it, but I'm seeing shades of final boss from last split and ID of the one before. Obviously not like that crazy series count. They're now I think 3-1, which is good, but it's not like the clear favorites. But man, that play was just super super clean. And overall, I think they've definitely solidified their spot in probably the top two conversation for the split. But with all that being said, ADHD, any final thoughts before we send it home for the night?
Yeah, I think that a 2-0 was not what we were expecting, but it's what we got. Uh, we got to watch this team 2 weeks in a row, and we saw two very different teams, both with the name and the level of play. So I'm excited to see where they go from here, and I think we're going to see a lot of W's for XSV in the future. But Flannel is the one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on because one loss doesn't really mean that much. You can come back from that. All you got to do is make playoffs. We'll see if this team is able to get back into form in time to make a run later in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they're best of 5 games, but I forget which coach in the NFL said it, where the regular season doesn't matter. The moment you get to playoffs, that's all that matters. because anything can happen once everything comes down to single games. So that is definitely going to be something to look out for. Congratulations to XSV, a massive bounce back game for them. But that's all we're going to have for you tonight. XSV taking it 2-0 against Flannel. Thank you, as always, ADHD, joining me on the desk. It's a pleasure. I think it's the first time this split that we've actually been able to have a full game together on the desk. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to do it for the rest of the split as well. Special thanks to Giggle, as always, for being the production behind the scenes, making all the magic happening on screen for you guys. To all the TOs making all the magic happen behind the scenes for the actual tournament. To the players for showing up and showing out for every single game, making a banger series, even though it was a 2-0. And of course, special thanks to you guys watching at home, because if you're not watching, what are we doing it for? You can find us, as always, next week, same time, same place, 8 p.m. EST, the only time zone that matters, on the Legends Twitch channel. Don't know what game we're going to have, but I'm sure it's going to be a banger, as they've been all season. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.